A very good afternoon to you. This is TV Sapienza on Star Times 2260. Today is Tuesday, the 9th of September 2025. My name is Joe Igbo. In our news headlines this afternoon, schools across the state have officially resumed for the 2025-2026 academic session, bringing an end to the long holiday period. The Trade Union Congress of Nigeria, TUC, has rejected the federal government's proposed 5% tax on petroleum products, warning that failure to halt the plan could trigger nationwide industrial action. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has announced that over 3.5 million Nigerians pre-registered online for voter cards within the first 3 weeks of its ongoing nationwide voter registration exercise. And the Minister of Education, Tunji Alausa, has assured Nigerians that the federal government is taking steps to avert looming strikes in universities and polytechnics. Now the details of the news. Schools across Anambra State have officially resumed for the 2025-2026 academic session, bringing an end to the long holiday period. Our correspondent who went round the city of Onitsha this morning observed pupils in their neatly pressed uniforms trooping back to classrooms, especially around Onitsha South, Mpo, and Awada. While children appeared excited to reunite with friends, many parents expressed concern over the rising cost of school fees, uniforms, and textbooks. A father at Modebe Memorial Secondary School told our correspondent that the expenses are weighing down on parents and called on government for more interventions, especially as it concerns private and mission schools. Teachers across public and private schools say they are prepared for the new term with emphasis on improving performance in core subjects and ensuring that learning gaps from the holiday are quickly bridged. The Anambra State Ministry of Education on its part has assured parents and guardians of its commitment to quality education. Officials say they are monitoring schools to ensure compliance with safety and health standards, while encouraging head teachers to maintain high teaching standards. Meanwhile, traders at Ochanja Market noted increased sales in stationery and school supplies as families prepared their children for resumption. The Trade Union Congress of Nigeria, TUC, has rejected federal government's proposed 5% tax on petroleum products, warning that failure to halt the plan could trigger nationwide industrial action. In a statement issued by the TUC President Festus Osifo, the union described the policy as an additional burden on Nigerians, stressing that it would worsen hardship, cripple businesses, and push more citizens into poverty. The TUC has directed all its state councils and affiliates across the country to prepare for strike action if the federal government ignores what it called the collective will of the people. The statement said workers and citizens are still reeling from the pains of subsidy removal, skyrocketing fuel prices, food inflation, and the collapsing naira. The union gave the federal government a 14-day ultimatum to withdraw the plan to introduce the 5% petroleum products tax. The statement warned that strike action is firmly on the table if the government dares to ignore this warning and go ahead to implement the policy. The closed-door meeting organized by the federal government to resolve the industrial dispute between the Nigeria Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, or NUPENG, and the Dangote Group has ended in a deadlock. The meeting was led by the Minister of Labour and Employment, Mohammed Dingyadi, as well as the Minister of State for Labour and Employment, Nkiruka Onyeji-Ocha, as part of efforts to avert the planned industrial action by NUPENG. Present at the meeting were the national executives of NUPENG and officials of the Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, and the Trade Union Congress, TUC, as well as representatives of the Dangote Group and MRS Petroleum. NUPENG had last Friday announced that its members would cease work from September 8 in protest against alleged moves by the Dangote refinery to prevent its compressed natural gas or CNG tanker drivers from joining labor unions. The Minister of Labour and Employment, Dingyadi, in a statement signed by the ministry's head of information, Patience Onuobia, appealed to NUPENG to suspend the strike and give room for dialogue. Meanwhile, transport fares have risen in Onitsha, Anambra State, as members of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, and the Nigeria Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, NUPENG, have commenced an indefinite strike. The strike by members of IPMAN and NUPENG began yesterday, September 8, 2025. It has led to the closure of numerous fuel stations across the state, prompting a surge in black market activities. The development has driven up the cost of transportation, as petroleum marketers often act in solidarity during such strikes. Fuel stations remain closed, while desperate motorists and businesses have turned to roadside fuel retailers, usually called black markets, who are now selling petrol at an alarming rate of 1,800 naira to 2,000 naira per litre. Many residents and road users are frustrated and struggling to cope with the rising costs of transportation and goods. Drivers were adjusting their fares with the excuse that they bought fuel at an exorbitant price. The decision to embark on the strike was reached after an emergency meeting held on Saturday, September 6, 2025, where both unions resolved to shut down all filling stations across the state until further directives are issued by their national leadership. The Independent National Electoral Commission INEC has announced that over 3.5 million Nigerians pre-registered online for voter cards within the first 3 weeks of its ongoing nationwide voter registration exercise. This was disclosed in a statement signed yesterday by INEC's National Commissioner and Chairman of the Information and Voter Education Committee, Mr. Sam Olumekun. According to the Commission, as of Sunday, September 7, 2025, a total of 3,554,850 citizens had completed online pre-registration since the process began on August 18, 2025. Of this figure, 1,709,933, or 48.24%, are male, while 1,834,917, or 51.76%, are female. The majority, 2,291,809, or 64.6%, fall within the ages of 18 and 34, with 882,441, or 24.89%, identified as students. INEC expressed appreciation to citizens and organizations mobilizing civic participation in the exercise, but reiterated that only Nigerians aged 18 years and above are eligible to register. He said that online registration alone was not enough to complete voter registration. The Abia State government has dismissed 6 staff of the Ministry of Justice for their roles in a salary padding scheme uncovered during an internal audit and administrative inquiry. The chairman of the Abia State Civil Service Commission, Pastor Eno Eze, disclosed the dismissals in a statement. She said the indicted workers manipulated the payroll system, leading to unlawful receipt of excess salaries over a sustained period. The investigation also raised serious concerns about the possible complicity of some members of the salary committee. According to Pastor Eze, those dismissed will be handed over to law enforcement agencies for prosecution. She stressed that the government's action demonstrates its zero tolerance for corruption in the civil service. The Association of Resident Doctors, Federal Capital Territory, has embarked on a 7-day warning strike to press home demands for sweeping reforms in the health sector. In a communique signed by its president, Dr. George Ebong, and other executive members, the association described the FCT health system as one plagued by long-standing systemic failures, requiring urgent intervention. According to the communique, resident doctors in the territory face intense pressure and are often compelled to cover multiple departments against their will. The association demanded swift action to address manpower shortages, non-functional equipment, poor working conditions, and unpaid staff allowances. It also cited grievances over unpaid salaries, delayed promotions, and underpayment of promoted staff, stressing that morale among doctors was at an all-time low. The doctors had earlier issued a 10-day ultimatum on September 1 to relevant government agencies, warning of a possible nationwide strike if their concerns were not addressed. The federal government has begun the nationwide distribution of essential maternal and child health commodities as part of renewed efforts to reduce maternal and newborn deaths. The distribution was coordinated by the National Primary Health Care Development Agency in collaboration with development partners in Abuja. The maternal and neonatal health commodities distributed were worth 2.9 billion naira across 10 states. The federal government's new initiative is seen as a critical step to bridge gaps and give frontline health workers the tools they need to save lives. Speaking at the flag-off in Abuja, the Executive Director and Chief Executive Officer of the National Primary Health Care Development Agency, Dr. Muyi Aina, stressed that the initiative was designed to save lives, close service delivery gaps, and support states in strengthening primary health care systems. According to Aina, reducing maternal and newborn deaths remains a pressing national priority. He explained that the first phase will cover a total of 1,936 primary health care facilities across 80 local government areas nationwide. The rollout is being implemented by zones to ensure equitable access and prioritization of high-need areas. Aina acknowledged that too many women die needlessly from preventable causes. The Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Alausa, has assured Nigerians that the federal government is taking steps to avert looming strikes in universities and polytechnics. Alausa explained that the government was engaged in serious negotiations with the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, the Academic Staff Union of Polytechnics, ASUP, and the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Polytechnics, as well as other academic unions. He appealed to unions that had already served strike notice to suspend their plans, stressing that efforts were ongoing to meet their demands. Tension heightened recently after ASUP, that is the Academic Staff Union of Polytechnics, confirmed that its 21-day ultimatum issued on August 14 had expired. Alausa maintained that the Tinubu-led administration is committed to ensuring academic stability. The minister emphasized that unlike previous administrations, the government would not make unrealistic promises just to avert strikes. Unions have tabled several demands, including unpaid salaries, withheld allowances, review of agreements, revitalization funding, and implementation of promotion areas. To end the Sapientia TV news at 1 p.m., a recap of the major headlines. Schools across Anambra State have officially resumed for the 2025-2026 academic session, bringing an end to the long holiday period. The Trade Union Congress of Nigeria, TUC, has rejected the federal government's proposed 5% tax on petroleum products, warning that failure to halt the plan could trigger nationwide industrial action. The Independent National Electoral Commission INEC has announced that over 3.5 million Nigerians pre-registered online for voter cards within the first 3 weeks of its ongoing nationwide voter registration exercise, or CVR. And finally, the Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Alausa, has assured Nigerians that the federal government is taking steps to avert looming strikes in universities and polytechnics. That was the Sapientia TV news at 1 p.m. On behalf of the editorial and technical crew, I am Joe Igbo. Good afternoon and thanks for choosing TV Sapientia.